Charles, you must be, how old are you now? You're 60 something, eh? How old are you?
You
62. So you had a long time to think about this, Charles. Why in the world do you think someone would do something like that? Do you do you have any?
know, that comes from Jordan. I've never, I often thought about that. Where does that much anger and pain come from? How does it grow like that? And then I wonder how come these people never got put in jail for what they did wrong. If that was me doing that, I'd be in jail for a long time. Or condemned from the world. You can't get a job and you'd be on TV saying, oh, this guy's a rapist or a molester. But these guys that hurt us, not one of them are on pictures on that stuff. Not one of them being shown that these are the guys that did that through Christianity and hiding behind that skirt. So that's the things I think about, Jordan. How come they never got charged for that? How come they didn't do time? Here we are suffering for the rest of our lives. And then when you talked about what happened, like these bodies that they're finding today, nobody believed us. We were called liars. That doesn't happen. People like that don't do that. And that's the truth is coming out slowly, but there's more to it. There's going to be more to it. Like how many of these people, young ladies that were in there that had children from them being raped and molested in there, those are the things that still have to resurface too. None of that has been brought up. And then having never ever to see that child, those are the things that still haven't surfaced, and why they're not doing that, why they're not working with these women that are hurt so badly as a child. So you look at the reserves, we all walk around and we've got children having children because we don't know the difference from what happened as a result of this.
You got out of there when you were about 13.
Yeah.
And you were angry for a long time.
Yeah, because I blamed the world after. I didn't know who to blame, so I blamed everybody. Mostly white people.
You told me about going back to see your grandparents and recovering some of what you had when you were a kid. Because you spent a lot of time with them when you were young.
The best thing ever happened to me, Jordan, was having my great-grandparents live when I went home for forever. They were there in open arms crying. It sort of scared me because I wasn't sure what they were crying for. But they were crying in happiness that I got to go home and stay home. So I wasn't allowed to go inside the house. They stopped me at the doorway and said, wait, Isasla, which means wait. So I stood there and they asked me if I still know how to speak our language, and I answered them. And how I answered them was eh, and that means yes in our language. And so my grandfather said, Hukilala, listen to me. We're going to go into the forest, he said. And you're going to go learn who you really are, not what they thought you should be. I was really scared. Wasn't sure what was going to happen. So as we were entering into the forest, my grandfather asked me to take my residential clothes off and leave it right there, wherever it comes off. So as we were heading up this creek behind Sam Charlie's house, Siki's house, Chief, there was a creek behind her house, and it went up towards back of the reserve. And there's these 4 big trees that were there, and a spot to sit in the middle of these trees. he brought me there. And he sat me down and put a blanket on me. It wasn't any blanket, it was his chief's blanket with buttons on there and a story that told his story of what he had crusts on in his treasure box on his blanket. So I was very proud to wear that. And I sat there and he gave me a pebble, a feather, and a rattle. And I'm sitting there trying to figure, well, what are these for? And my grandfather says, you can't leave this area at nighttime. You've got to stay here no matter what. If there's ghosts or things that scare you through the night, you use your feather and your rattle and you pray with your feather. You ask your spirit people to come watch over you. And you use your rattle to prepare the ground so that the spirit people can come and look after their circle where you're at. When you get dry, son, don't leave the circle. Put that pebble in your mouth. It'll help your mouth stay moist until you're done with what you're doing. Until you're allowed to leave that area and go have your bath and have a drink of water. So I did those things. And then after about the fourth day, these trees were talking to me. It was amazing that these trees were talking to me in our language. And the amazing thing was that when you look at the 12-step book today that they use for treatment centers, they were doing it in our language, but in fours. Not one step, but in fours to me. And then reading me positive affirmation about who I am. And then nurturing that little boy. At first I couldn't understand what little boy, and that little boy was me when I got first put in St. Mike's. And then worked my way up to being able to handle what was going on in my life without hurting myself and watching other people suffer the way they suffer today, and knowing that there's just a little bit of comfort that you could find. You stop that stinking thinking for all, right?
Charles, did you